So we were talking about scaling bots, and there were three main topics of discussion. One was the business and marketing hurdles to scaling bots, specifically around discovery. That was one notion that everyone really struggled with, is not just how are bots discoverable today, but even in trying to get some consensus of a fantasy universe where discovery was solved, really couldn't come to terms or consensus there. Some lessons from the Telegram world, though, that were discussed. One is specifically the ability to add bots to group conversations as a key discovery mechanism, along with user-to-user sharing of bots, the ability to forward a bot output to a friend and have the attribution of the bot follow it around. Those are things that have worked at least for some level of discovery on Telegram that are still to be figured out on more of the core platforms in the US. There's also the challenge of enterprise marketing for bots. So how do you balance going to an organization trying to do an enterprise sales deal with a suite of bots, each of which solves a micro problem? Like just the go-to-market for enterprises from some of the enterprise-focused folks was also similarly challenged. The second topic was around technology and operational hurdles as you're scaling. The key one there, two key ones there. One was just the cost of maintaining a bot, especially as they become increasingly multimedia oriented. One of the cases that one of the folks mentioned was as video bots emerge, just how expensive it is to actually stream a video bot to consumers, and how to kind of manage that. The second was how to do updates on bots in real time when you have a stateful conversation. How do you kind of interrupt consumers in the middle of it? And generally the consensus was that for the time being, the solutions are around being able to bleed consumers off from the old version of the conversation to a new version at key breakpoints that can be designated. But again, a kind of a hassle from an operational standpoint. The final point there also was that there was general consensus that we're going to be in a world where we're having to figure out how to support microbots rather than megabots. And so generally, everyone's fixated on what's going to be the first, million DAU bot or million DAU or 10 million DAU bot or megabot. But really the likely model, and I think everyone generally resonated with this notion, is that the vast universe is going to be microbots that solve something important for someone or a few someones, and that's the model that we need to try and figure out how to build our respective businesses around. And then finally, there was a discussion around workflow bots versus communication bots. And this was something that surfaced as a result of the diversity of opinions and backgrounds of people there in trying to understand what bots even mean to each of us. So to some of us, the fact there's a bot means that it's interacting with a consumer. But there's actually bots with conversation, but then there's also bots that are just there in the background that ideally never talk to a user, but are still automating some key workflow and solving a problem for those users. And that really led to the notion that bots can add value both by being additive to consumers' lives, by either exposing a new medium or a new mode of interaction, but also by being redactive and taking away things that users or consumers are having to deal with in their lives, their crap work, and solving it for them. So that was another interesting learning just from the conversation, because we all come into it with our respective assumptions of what bots can be.